Welcome to the Dice Box in Tombstone Blues. Previously, this bunch went down to a little town in the wastes with the capital W that is currently being very heavily controlled by a death cult. The preacher responsible is actually the doctor individual again, uh, who basically fucked you guys right the way up in the sanitarium at the edge of the wastes. Jillian, they had to split the party. When it's a party of 3, that's even worse than usual, but there weren't a lot of options because, let's face it, both situations would have gone a whole lot worse if everybody had all been together. And what Reba and Alloy in particular would have done with Isaac. Mm-hmm. But if in Alloy in particular, probably would have been bad. And if Jillian had been when the crowd turned up, she occasionally tries diplomacy, but you'd be having the be not afraid thing, and some of the shit they were saying about the Lord would have probably sparked off a particularly bad reaction. So, Cassie, the 13-year-old seer, was, as it happens, right. Also, so Jillian went to face off against Isaac. She came away with him redeemed, but kind of dead. And something that appears to be some kind of potentially secondary, but potentially primary for all she knows, heart, which is kind of pulsing. And the last she looked at it, it was kind of tainted and icky looking. And this because it was either drag Isaac out or drag Cassie when the big flappy thing and the swarm of undead turned up, because she could not have handled them both. Might have stood a slightly better chance if she hadn't paused long enough for the big flappy thing to eat her horse. She got a new one! Meanwhile, Alloy and Reba met up with the torch-waving, lynch rope-toting mob. And might have actually been getting through to them a tiny bit right up until the toad demon kind of showed itself and chucked a poison cloud and killed a lot of the townspeople. They sort of got up and became undead. Reba came very close to joining them, because you don't want to know what would have happened if you've died in that. But you didn't. Thanks be to the bear spirit, because A, you turned into one, and B, bears. And Jillian turned up to help save their bacon at the same time as bears happened. And, she brought back Cassie. Unfortunately, the attempting to shoot at Isaac rather than going directly to let's try to cleanse him got Cassie shot, and Jillian, not thinking particularly straight for some very obvious reasons, kind of healed her with the tainted, nasty bullet still in her. Thankfully, Jillian's wound was through and through, so she didn't have that problem. There was just that nasty kind of feeling that you can cleanse it if the bullet's not in there. But so Cassie's not in great shape, but she's kind of going, there's still something I have to do with you guys. So unfortunately, she doesn't know what's going to happen next. But in all fairness, Reba probably realizes that she doesn't sound particularly hopeful about her further chances down the line. But then again, you never know. Only him up there seems to, when it comes to her imminent survival, the Lord seems to want to leave her figure that part out for herself. So yeah, at the end of it, it was Reba kind of keeping watch, Alloy probably chasing Muffin around trying to get the dents out. Now that she's figured out that she can probably stick the bullets in some kind of god phylactery thing when Jillian is feeling better, and Jillian was crying herself to sleep in Cassie's room.
I think at some point Jillian remembered to take the demon heart out of her pocket and put it in like a pillowcase and dump it on the floor.
When she does finally take the thing out of her pocket after a fairly long time crying, she probably also needs a drink of water, because if you've cried that much and that hard, you are dehydrated to fuck. It doesn't look the same. It was black and squelchy and kind of ugh. Now the skin of it is almost clear. It's still soft, but the appearance of it is more like crystal. And there's a sort of a very faint light inside. It's still pulsing a little bit. Jillian might want to check her locket.
Jillian just stares at it and puts it in the pillowcase and lets it drop to the floor, and she flops back and looks at her locket.
The pictures are back to normal.
And she glances at the window to try and see how early how early of morning it is.
It's actually a fairly pretty sunrise, as far as that goes. The sun is just sort of cresting over the edge of the horizon, so it's early.
Okay.
Reba's probably Reba and Reba and Alloy have probably had like a couple hours sleep at this point.
Yeah, Jillian has a drink from her canteen, and then she curls up with no intent to get out of bed yet.
I'm going to call that your 8 hours, so you guys are sleeping in.
Yep.
Actually, wait a minute. No, you're probably not. Around about that point, there's as Jillian is not intending on getting up just yet, there's a very quiet boomf, boomf, boomf on the door. And without opening it, Cassie going, "You have to get the body."
Jillian groans.
"Do you want him buried by them?"
Jillian shambles her way
Yeah,
to the door.
by the time
opens it.
by the time she gets out, Cassie is back in the twins' room, but she desperately needs to rest. But apparently that was important enough to be like, "Now, please," because with the sun just coming up, yeah, a lot of the townsfolk are dead, but that might not have been everybody.
Jillian stares at that door for a minute, and then she'll grab the heart in the pillowcase and stuff that back in her coat pocket.
You do understand that's not what it's for. And that little still small voice inside her heart.
What is it?
One thing at a time, child. Would you have him? Would you have him rest in unhallowed earth? He's had unhallowed
Yes.
enough.
Yes. Of course.
Perception check, the two of you.
Nat 20.
Reba was probably about half awake because she's wise. She had thought somewhere in the back of her head burial rites. And yeah, Alloy, you guys are a little too keyed up to sleep, and Reba at least is going. She's gonna have to go get the body. I mean, I know I have burial rituals, and so does proper White Boy God. So
So, Jillian did not long rest, but she short rested, right?
yeah, all of you did.
Okay.
Does anybody want to roll hit dice?
Yeah.
Wow.
Blow a few of the.
That did nothing, but okay.
It's better than you had. Yeah, your con's not great, but your perception clearly is. So when you hear, you probably didn't quite hear Cassie. That's the other thing. You're listening for Cassie. So you didn't quite hear what she said, but you definitely hear the door opening and a quiet conversation with White Boy God. So you open the door. There's Jillian, sort of going, I know, and then Reba.
Jillian makes sure the heart is snugly in her pocket and then turns and there's Reba. And Jillian's still.
Already standing
Blood
just
soaked.
like with a look on her face like, oh, you forgot something?
Oh, you are such a bitch, Reba.
Jillian's not looking great.
And when she sees that, she drops the expression. Just, ooh.
Can you get the horses ready?
Of course.
Thank you. And then Jillian goes to the parents' room to look for a clean shirt.
You will actually find, you go into the parents' room, 3 sets of clothes. Simple work shirts, jeans, but they've clearly been fairly recently tailored. Little note written, a little scrap of paper, just butcher block paper, and apparently from Prudence. Thought you might need these. P.
Jillian feels slightly better.
Going out to see the horses, Reba will probably very quickly realize the horse that is out there is not the one that Jillian had, and kind of. And what might your name be?
They called me things the last little while. I didn't like them. They were creepy.
We'll give you a new name.
When I was a colt, I was Sorrel, and then it got creepy.
Sorrel. Would you like that? Again?
I can have that again?
Yes.
You should ask the shiny lady. I like the shiny lady. She took me away from the creepy. I didn't like the creepy.
You don't either. But I will ask. And then proceeds to brush them down and just generally check to their welfare.
Yeah. Sorrel is a mare. Probably only just hit full growth. So. And
Like the creepy.
and yeah,
I mean, does anybody? Really?
yeah,
Come on.
but horses are just like, they're usually the whole breaking and training process involves getting them used to a lot of stuff. The creepy's not it. But yeah, Alloy, who heard some of the movement upstairs, given she's a nice enough individual, has probably put together some bread and jam.
Yeah, because people are going to need to reboot some, so I may as well make sure they're capable of rebooting.
So
and
yeah,
quickly.
if Reba comes back, you've got Alloy just slicing, spreading. Proper food can probably wait because Jillian had in a hurry look.
Yeah. Thank you, Eli.
Oops.
Speed fuel.
Oh. We lost Noms there.
The last thing I heard was you.
It doesn't. You've been kind of out of it, getting changed, so you're fine.
Yep.
But yeah, now would be around the point where you come back downstairs with the news that there are changes of clothes if anyone wants them.
2 words.
Yep.
Speed fuel. Get food in you.
All right. We need to get going real soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally jam sandwiches, so it could be eaten on the way.
So you have a look of purpose, and okay, we'll head out. Anything we should know beforehand? Some
We
idea
need to
what to expect when we get out there?
figure out a spot
Yeah.
somewhere consecrated and.
Re-
Sorry, my end hiccuped.
yeah. So
Ethan,
did so
what
did
were you
you.
saying?
I mean, what we caught from you, because you were the one talking when the hiccuping happened, was need to find some place consecrated, and I was about to go. Reba, for White Boy God, probably nothing in that area is going to be consecrated right now. Closest thing you could get was probably here, because the farmsteads that you've come through, a lot of them, if they're far enough out of town, have a little family burial ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their own little familial plot, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and while this isn't Louis's home area, it is Prudence's. And you were out in the garden, so you know that the family's got its own little plot, and because they've always been a small family for where you are, probably Louis and Prudence with their 4 children were the most, the biggest family that bunch has had. There's space enough. And you really don't think Louis'd mind.
Jillian, we're gonna probably need to get him. You saw the condition of the town then at night. You probably, I don't see how there could be any area there. We could bring him here. There's a little spot that he could be laid, and I don't think Louis would mind. And I think, well, you know better than me, but I think Isaac might like it.
Yes, you would.
A bit of an aside, but I did see you had a new horse. Her name, well, apparently they called her a lot of creepy things, but apparently before that, she was known as Sorrel.
All right.
So, call her whatever you like, but there's an idea. straight from the horse's mouth. Oy.
And Spot from under the table is just, that was bad.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know that was going to happen until it was halfway out. Glad to see you, Spot. Good morning.
Morning. They don't have rats in the grain bin anymore.
Bless you.
You guys are going out.
We don't intend to be gone long, but yes.
Do you want me to find you rabbits?
That would be very wonderful, yes, if you can.
Twines around everybody's ankles and out the door.
Spot's going to see what Spot can do about rabbits for later.
Alright. Jillian takes gnawing at a sandwich and gets up, starts to go out.
You're muted.
And no mention of the clothes. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair, you both do notice that those are not Jillian's clothes. They fit remarkably well, but they're not Jillian's clothes. They are remarkably free of blood. But they're not anything I mean, you guys have been riding with her for months. That does not correspond with any of the 2 or 3 pairs of jeans and shirts that she actually owns.
Reba like as Jillian's starting to, Reba kind of goes and then looks over to Loy like, am I missing? Like, are you seeing this too? Like,
That's getting a nod and then a.
oh, come on.
Give me a perception check, Jillian. Yeah, you out of the corner of your eye as you're stuffing the last of your sandwich into your mouth, you catch that entire exchange.
Jillian looks back and forth. Prudence left out clothes for us in her bedroom.
Oh,
Cool!
And probably knowing Alloy up, thump, 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 thump.
I'll wait until she comes back
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, I just spun around and bolted.
Yeah, and, they're you can tell, because the differences in your basic body shapes, that one's for a taller, skinnier kind of an individual. This one's mine, because, look, there's, given Sherlock scanning, you can see the new stitches where they, where the taking in and taking up happened. You won't even have to roll up the cuffs on the jeans the way you normally do.
There's sort of a moment of gibber squee.
You hear that.
It's just kind of.
And yeah, when Alloy comes back down, it's in. And usually there's her jeans are rolled up at the cuffs, but not this time. The shirt's not too long the way it normally is.
Witness me!
That looks amazing. All right. Well, and quickly heads upstairs, changes, comes back down. Very just zip, boop, done, boom, jump, back down.
Yeah.
Like, we got to hurry up and get this done.
But
so.
you do notice that, for your frame, they fit remarkably well.
Yep. Resisting the urge to be like, it has pockets. It's like a pair of jeans with actual real pockets that are tailored to me with actual pockets, because usually she's got to throw on, good luck. So, yes, this works.
So, yeah, it's only a few minutes, A quick change of clothes does not take that long, because none of you are really particularly primp-minded. And I'm sure, however, that Jillian is quickly reaching the end of her patience.
She's saddled up and
Yep.
Yeah,
staring intently.
yeah. By the time you guys get out, she's already let out Sorrel and you just...
Right.
Time to go.
Okay. So
Alright.
you head off in a town kind of direction, and it's probably when you're about halfway there that you realize nobody thought to stay behind to keep an eye on Cassie.
Daylight.
I can just.
Well, to be fair, if any mount is going to carry Isaac's body without kind of flipping out over the smell of blood, it's gonna be Muffin. Or you could just keep going and get back as soon as you can. Because it's not so much it's daylight, it's the fact that she had that bullet in her and she's not well.
Yeah, and Reba, having been as concerned as she was, would probably get about that far and pull up short and be like, "Go." Thinking about it, I'm gonna stay back and keep an eye on Cassie. She wasn't as well as I'd like, and yeah.
All right.
Sure.
I mean, you'll still be there for the burying, it's just the bringing the body back is a thing. So yeah, Reba rides back to the farmstead and you guys get to town, which is a little bit of a mess. Nobody is exactly moving around as yet, but you can... Perception checks, you guys.
It's a good idea.
Oh boy, my favorite.
Still not bad. Yeah, you're actually keeping an eye, so you do notice the occasional curtain twitching, but whoever's in those homes don't seem to be overly inclined to come out, at least in part because in the town square around about the location of that well is kind of unfortunate. There's, and for Alloy, there's another one of those big flappy lizard things, which seems to be very rapidly decomposing into bones and blackish sludge. And it smells vile. And it's right near the well, which is great. And of course, that's also not helped by the fact that around this decomposing thing is an awful lot of decomposing at the normal speed human bodies. The freshest looking one of the lot matches the very vague description that Jillian has given for Isaac.
Jillian showed Aloy the Locket picture way back when.
Okay, that's fair. So, yeah. But it's still kind of hard to tell when it's kind of in the body pile. There was
Right.
there looked to be a massive fight around that one individual in the middle of that, and a lot of those corpses that have clearly been dead for a while have what Alloy recognizes to be very recent bullet holes.
I'll start clearing everything else. You can get him once I've removed enough of the pile.
All right. Jillian takes another look around. I'm assuming the stockades are all empty, or no longer living.
What do you mean the stockades?
The pillories,
Yeah, there's certainly nobody. There does not seem to be anyone in them at the moment.
And have Muffin help me just get the general zombie bodies out of the way.
Boop boop.
And just start trying to clear stuff.
And
Just
so,
start trying to clear them and set them aside for later burial once I get around to that. But priority is getting everything clear.
yeah, unfortunately, it does mean that Muffin has to walk through a pile of oozing winged lizard thing, because it's also quite close and seems to have had half its jaw blown off.
I need a brush and a whole hell of a lot of rope. And when there's a moment, after Muffin's cleared some of the stuff away, I'm gonna go for the compartment and get as much rope as I can, and just sort of just try to rig enough of that around the decomposing thing to have Muffin help me drag that away.
Unfortunately, every time you try to get a rope around, there's a kind of squelch noise, and you wind up ripping a limb off like it's an overdone chicken, and it's ooze, and you wind up getting covered in your nice new clothes are rapidly getting covered in decomposing tainted bits.
Jillian, do you have any way of just immolating this?
Yes. Jillian, make sure that Isaac's not too close to it.
She'll have to drag his body towards Sorrel, and when Muffin has cleared away from the corpse bulldozing Muffin, this, actually lifting a mechanical leg, shaking it like boop, boop, boop. But yeah, Jillian will have to move Isaac back to horse zone before because that thing was from the wounds on him. It's not necessarily what if the massive teeth mark to the chest didn't kill him outright, which it clearly didn't, because this thing is missing half its jaw. It did for him eventually, probably. You'd probably need more of a check to be sure, and you probably don't really care. But once you've got him, basically this thing was right on top of him when he blew half its head off. So you have to get him away before you can do any immolady stuff.
Yep, she drags him back.
Okay, I'm gonna be really cruel. Make me an athletics check.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, between heartbreak and you just not being overly strong, and you only had a short rest, literally, and since literally carrying Cassie back to where the horses were, so your muscles hurt, your heart hurts, you're incredibly tired, and he's budging, but very, very slowly, and ow, and so much ow. So yeah, Aloy's watching Jillian just wince as she's trying to drag Isaac carefully, but
I'm going to go help.
I'm not that mean. With help of somebody else, you can get him bundled onto Muffin. Probably is best, because Muffin can get clear faster if need be. So yes, Isaac is on Muffin, and Muffin is just boop, boop. Stretch his neck out, comforting boonk to Jillian. Boop.
Aw.
Yep.
Jillian, unfortunately, doesn't pay much mind to Muffin. She
Yeah, but Muffin's doing it anyway.
steps back up and takes a deep breath and then lets out something that she was very much not letting out early at the hours earlier, and so she begons it.
This is when I do something that's ever so slightly different. Because this is the kind of thing that you turn more to a cleric for, because properly immolating something like that, when you don't really have the spells for quite that much disintegration, is more of a divine intervention thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's... The begone is not as much of a begone as she wants it to be. It's just... It wants to be begone, but it's also largely a wordless scream of rage and grief and pain. And big flappy oozing corpse and all the other corpses. Woomph! Conflagration of holy flame.
I'm probably near one. I probably backed off to relatively near the bodies because I didn't go far enough to be like horse zone. I figure I'd still be in
Yeah.
range to start
You're-
getting them
you're
away,
okay.
and they just go up next to me. Blah!
Yeah, it's... You do get the general impression that anything that quite that big is gonna... There are limits to how much you can call that much on the Lord. But apparently you were felt to deserve that. And yeah, the with no apparent fuel remaining, the holy fires are still burning for a little while.
Jillian looks very briefly for a tarp or something. No.
No.
And she settles back up. Why don't you
I'm-
ride with me, Eloy?
Hang
Oop.
on.
You got Muffin looking at like, you think I can't carry two people? Excuse me? Poop? Poop! Actually tilts head towards the where the corpse pile used to be. And boop! Boop.
I'm going to go hug Muffin.
Boop.
Jillian, as to what were you looking around for?
Something to cover him up.
Alloy, you're intelligent. There's a stable over there. Maybe they have horse blankets.
Wait right here, Muffin. Meow.
And yeah, you head to the stable and yeah, you do find a pile of saddle blankets.
Gonna look around, see if there's anybody here who looks like they might be about to lay claim to these.
It seems to be pretty much empty at this point.
Yoink!
Yeah, Yoink and Niram back with, and Alloy is carrying a pile of saddle blankets.
I got this.
Thank you.
And yeah, Isaac sufficiently enshrouded, I guess. Yeah, well, in as much so as as he can be when he's already draped over a muffin, so it's just kind of shake, thump, cover him up, and
Yep, head back.
Alloy, I assume, is on board with the straight back thing.
Very, very much on board with getting on Muffin, though. just gonna as we leave. I'm just gonna look and just gonna stare at the general store for a bit and just kind of look like I'm wishing I had some more supplies in general, and just gonna follow Jillian out.
This is a grave occasion. I will not make Alloy make a wisdom saving throw for that.
And, like, I want to, but this is more important.
Yeah, and Jillian isn't going to notice because she's got too much else on her mind. Largely, the whole thing where, given that Reba follows a very different path, and so does Alloy, in that the path she follows appears to be science, and she tries to science the Lord, and that kind of freaks her out. It's gonna have to be Jillian officiating at this particular burial. But yeah, in relatively short order, Reba probably checks on Cassie, and she's kind of flopped out, kind of diagonally on one of the twins' beds because the beds are kind of small, and she's kind of, yeah. I mean, she's 13, and they were kids, and she's kind of feet sticking, and she hasn't quite got herself under the covers or anything, so it's just thump. Weird thing about the twins' room. You can't really tell which side is whose. I mean, they're both decorated fairly neutrally greens and yellows, and the shelves on both sides are interesting rocks and, interesting bits of stick and little clay horses and things, but there's a feeling that they were put there for very different reasons and treasured for very different reasons. In fact, make me an insight check.
14.
It's very, very slight. You don't know these kids quite well enough to, and, a bedroom of this kind at all is a little strange for you. But, and there it goes again. There's an order to one side of the room that probably means it's the young missus, because, science, and she had the thing for that. Whereas the other side is a little bit more of a jumble, and that's probably your comparative theologian, Hank. So, it's on his side that Cassie's flopped out, by the way.
Yeah, just trying not to wake her. Just peeking in.
Yeah, that's not
Making
gonna...
sure she's breathing and...
Yeah, she's breathing, I mean, not well. There's a bit of a wheeze, but... no, waking her's not going to be an issue.
Yeah. If it looks like she's really, deep in sleep, I may walk over and just, check her pulse just to see how that's going.
It's the same thing. It's kind of erratic, kind of hammering, like fighting something, followed by kind of slow and thready. You're muted.
There's sweet fuck all I can do about that, so just ask the ancestors to watch over her, and she's got to fight this out, because I can't really I don't have anything I can do to help her at the moment, so at least Reba doesn't think she does. So yeah, just step back out after that, and then making sure that Cassie's okay, knowing what is going to be happening, she will step outside and walk over to the area that she'd seen before. That was the plot area, and use mold earth to start clearing a space for the burial. And so And if, assuming she's done with that before they get back, she'll go back to the porch and just wait for them watching the approach.
You're finished. I mean, not long before they're back. You're just walking to the porch and you're about to settle down because you are worn the hell out. But just as you're about to sit down, you see the glint of rising sun on metal as Muffin comes clattering down the road with Jillian and Sorrel behind, and Muffin is sort of looking around and almost seems to be trying to look at the individual strewn across his back, and in very muted tones, just boop 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 boop.
There's waves to them. Yeah, not really knowing it's not a time for levity, so it's just more just a hey, I see you, all is well here type of thing, not like hey, how you doing?
I don't think Reba do that kind of wave anyway.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah.
Gonna just make my way over to somewhere along with Muffin to set Isaac down.
And Muffin goes box to make that a little easier. Chunk. But then Muffin stops, looks at you, then gets back up, tilts head to Reba. Reba, being wise and knows why, because like, am I really dumping this guy here?
Yeah.
You're muted again.
Oh, sure. Sorry, thank you. I keep hitting it when I don't mean to. She'll step down off the porch and start walking in the general direction and just sort of point to where he can be set to prep.
Oh, good.
And so it's just a quick boom.
Yeah, but this really is Alloy going, how did I make Muffin smarter than I am?
Less wondering, we're going, glad someone here has common sense.
Ka-chunk, and off Muffin goes to go box and tilt. It's as, funnily enough, as respectful as someone without thumbs can manage in that kind of situation. Actually gives him a little butt. Boop. Boop, boop. And then trots back over to the rest of you.
Jillian, I took the liberty of preparing a spot. I hope you don't mind.
That's fine. Thank you.
I'll leave it to you to. You let me know what you need from me, if anything, okay?
If the grave's been prepared, and I think I just need someone to help me lay him down.
I can do that. More to the point, I'd be honored to do that.
It would more than likely. It's pretty clear that you guys are going to have to talk about what happened. I mean, Alloy in particular knows that something went really weird out there. But clearly that's going to wait until after the burial. And to give Noms a bit of time to have a think about what's going to be said and that kind of thing, we'll take our break now because I'm thinking of winding this up a little earlier than usual anyway, because this is a talkie session. And we'll be back in a few minutes to lay Isaac Kane to rest. And we're back. Back at Louise and Prudence's farmstead with a carefully, magically dug grave and the body of Isaac Kane and a very small funeral.
Jillian gestures for Reba to help her set him down beside the grave.
Yeah, Muffin actually already and put him next to the grave and even kind of nudged him into as straight a position as you can when you don't have like thumbs.
And then she takes her locket and undoes it so she can take the ring that she had looped on it. She pulls up blanket enough to get to his hand and put that back on the right finger. She stands up. Christ said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." He asked the Lord to forgive those who crucified him. He forgave those who asked it of him. Forgiveness is what people often forget, but that was what Christ died for and what he gave to us. If one asks it, it will be given. And then Christ said he would give you rest. And kneels down, puts her hand along Isaac's forehead, stays there for a moment.
And very, very quietly from the fence around the little burying ground, you hear, "What you didn't mention was that he died seeking that forgiveness, and that he found it. And he can rest now." Cassie, leaning against the fence, clearly not doing great, but apparently has to be there because that's not something that Jillian is thinking to say right now. And she seems to feel it needs to be said.
Ruby kind of just doesn't say anything, kind of looks at Cassie saying that and looks back and kind of raises an eyebrow a little, but was like, we'll talk later. So, okay.
Jillian nods very slowly to Cassie. And then gestures for Reba to grab his legs.
I'm not going to ask for rolls here. That would be cruel.
And once we have him in place, I'm going to Reba will turn to Jillian. And, do you want me to, or
Jillian's, grabbing his shoulders to start moving him into the hole.
No,
no, I meant after the.
After you put him into the hole, she's asking.
Do you want me to go ahead and?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do anything else?
No, Jillian gestures for her to do her thing.
Okay, and she sweeps the removed earth back into place. No, I was debating. Is it beyond the realm of just druidcraft to make a small little bit of grass appear, or
No, that's
appear?
very much within the realm of druidcraft. You can. I mean, if Axe can grow snowdrop stretching from him to all of his found family, then I think you can. I think you can grow some grass and flowers on a grave.
I would like to do that. Specifically a small little bunch of forget-me-not. And just looks at Jillian. Just, I hope you don't mind. It seemed appropriate.
Thank you, Reba.
Alloy doing anything during all this?
I'm just gonna quietly watch the whole thing and just do my best to commit it to memory, because if I were to, take notes or do anything else, that'd be rather impolite.
But the other thing that she's probably thinking is trying a distraction to be taking notes. You all have your various talents for something like this. Jillian has her bond with the Lord. Reba has her mastery over nature. You have crafting abilities that might let you, if you can find a suitable sized bit of stone, actually make him a headstone.
Hmm.
And neither of you have necessarily thought about this, but you've got Alloy just doing the And while you're not overly wise, you're probably wise enough to know that pissing off Jillian is a bad idea, so you might want to ask if that's a thing she should be doing. So, yeah, ceremony ends, forget-me-nots, flowers, and grass. And, yeah, but still looks wrong for a grave. So, if Alloy wants to ask about markers, now would be the time.
Do you want me to make a marker?
Yes. Plenty of wood around, if you could.
No, I can do better.
We have some, they're not huge bits of stone, but we were building a bit of wall around the garden, and looks at Jillian. You forgot the please. Tiny smile. And she points Alloy to a pile around the back, to around the back shed, where if Alloy goes to look, she will find wood and stone and various building material bits. And with enough looking around, you can find something that won't be a very impressive headstone, but it's something.
Yep. I'm gonna have depending on how heavy it is, I might have Muffin help me get it over there and set it up vertically.
You're not hugely strong, so yeah. But before you set it up vertically, you might want to actually like carve something
Yeah,
into it.
I'm like first seeing how it is vertical, then then
Yeah.
carefully setting it back down
So
to get this.
you got kind of muffin to you guys mostly hear this unless you're going around the shed to look. So you just hear whoop. And yeah, it should be fine. You'll need Muffin to kind of headbutt it into place, but Muffin can do that.
Perfect. All right, let's get this one pieced over there so we can decide on what they want written on it.
Muffin, actually, with a certain amount of head wibbling, manages to get it onto his back. Just tilt, 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 tilt. And you guys hear sort of clunk slide. And then boop boop. Looking at Alloy
Onward,
like,
Muffin.
yeah, looking at Alloy like, are you proud of me? I'm proud of me.
I'm hearing the noises, and Reba's just sort of like trying not to ruin the somber moment at the same time. This is so bloody surreal.
And Muffin trots back like a horse doing the high step funeral procession kind of thing, with a lump of stone just slid onto his back. And given how strong Alloy isn't, he put that there himself somehow. But just and then goes box mode so that Alloy can carve things before he wobbles it into position.
I'm producing the screwdriver, the sonic screwdriver, and a few other bits and tools. Any mess? Now would be the time to tell me what to put on here.
Isaac Kane, loving husband. And then she says the appropriate years.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna set to work getting that into the rock.
Yeah. It will take time. If this is metal engraving is weirdly easier than this because it mostly just involves heat. So
Mhm.
this is a lot of chink chink chink, but and by the time you're done, you're tired, hungry, and you're covered in rock dust up to the elbows. But it's done.
All right, Muffin, let's get this into position.
And with a certain amount of wobbling and Muffin kind of very carefully trying not to step on the forget-me-nots as slides back and then head butts it into place. It tilts head towards Jillian and gives this remarkably apologetic boop. Gets very quickly off the grave.
Thank you, Muffin.
Boop. Leans head on Jillian's shoulder for a second.
Right. Let's everybody get inside. We need to get some food in us, and we probably need to have a talk about a few things.
Yeah. Spot is on the back porch with 3 rabbits.
Oh my goodness. I think of all of us, if I recall correctly, Jillian, I think you had the best hands. Would you mind spotting your lap for a little while? Because look what she got us. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
And clearly not saying how comforting a cat purring can sometimes be. Yeah, I know how both Reba and you think. So yeah, the Spot waits until Jillian sits down, then launches herself into Jillian's lap and curls up and starts purring before the scritching even begins. But when the scritching begins, the purring heats right back up, and it's calming and comforting for you both. And Cassie is just if nobody minds, I think I'm going to go back upstairs. I just needed to be there.
Thank you, child. Rest well.
Cassie, by all means, get some rest for now, but we're going to need you here when we talk in a little bit.
Then I'll nap in the parlor. Just
Okay.
it's okay. I am probably going to need to wake up for Rabbit anyway. It steps fairly slowly into the parlor, and you just kind of hear that 13-year-old floop.
So yeah, Reba will probably be the one to prep the rabbit and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's not so much a. You don't really have the time for stew, but you can put them into bake. There's enough various vegetables and things to roast with it, and you don't know much about the white boy god or white boy funeral customs, but you do know that among your people, something akin to a wake is a thing.
Yeah, a meal and a gathering afterwards is usually a thing. Yes.
Yeah, and you also know where Louis keeps the rum.
Yep. Yeah. So once I get everything situated and in and going, she'll grab a couple of glasses and set one down in front of Jillian. And
Oh, incidentally, when you opened the oven, there was a pie. It was apparently baked before you left, waiting.
oh, okay. So then she opens it, about ready to put it to slide. She kind of. Actually, she's wise enough. She'd look before she started putting it in. So she kind of leaned. Oh, oh dear. Okay, set that back over. There's pie. And,
Yeah, apparently Prudence decided that some things should be left for you, And if you put the pie on top of the oven, you can get it started warming while things are roasting, and you can warm it further in the oven when you switch it off as you're eating your meal, so you can have warm apple pie.
Yep. So yeah, that'll be a thing for later. One moment, and that's when she gets the rum in the glass, puts one in front of Jillian, looks over at Aloy, bottle in hand, two more glasses in hand, and looking at Aloy, looking at Jillian, looking at Jillian with a look of, should I? I mean, and then kind of goes, you know what? Yeah. Only pours a little bit for Aloy though, just in case. A little bit, and a little bit for herself, and then it sits down, and then
Jillian's gonna wave her off after she pours a little bit for Jillian.
Well, and she nods and then says, "Hold on." She picks up the glass and raises it, and looks at Jillian and says to Isaac,
Smeagol has face. Why does Smeagol have face?
To Isaac. Just gonna also raise the glass.
And it's clear that Alloy is a little bit tired, given that was a lot of work on the.
Yeah, you would have heard the tink 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 for just hours.
Not hours, an hour or so, but it's still
consistent and over.
Perfectionist about this.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure the lines were exactly straight.
But still.
On a rock that wasn't necessarily so. I think we did right by him, and that's what matters. Right, Jillian?
Yes.
Now, do we want to talk at all now, or do we want to wait until we get some food in us? Because it's going to be a little bit before it's ready.
After food and after Cassie's had a bit more rest, because I need to know her thoughts too.
Okay.
But Reba is wise and going, couldn't we solidify our thoughts as a preliminary? So she's not listening to us get on our usual bullshit?
I mean, it might be worth covering what we can previous, because, when we get going, let's not get back on our bullshit.
All right. Jillian takes the thing out of her pocket, dumps it from the pillowcase.
Yes, the heart thing.
And that's getting stared.
Don't touch it, Aloy.
You put this in front of me,
and
then tell me to not examine it.
And Reba's like, first of all, boy, am I glad we decided to start on this. And I'm glad I said that we don't, let's not get back on our bullshit. Second of all, if Alloy does not turn the volume down, sending Cassie to rest is gonna be for nothing anyway.
Yeah, in which case she, Alloy, stifle it, Jillian, quietly, because Cassie is trying to sleep. Explain.
I pulled this from Isaac when I purified him. But when I did last night, it was black and seemed obviously tainted, but now I don't know what it is.
Well, it looks like whatever was there was drained. The taint looks like it drained away, for lack of a better way to put it.
That's the thing. When I tried to burn it, I couldn't. I don't think it was necessarily because it's too strong or nothing. It just the purpose I haven't figured out yet.
Screwdriver slowly coming up. Tools
Not while
also
Cassie's
slowly coming
asleep.
up.
No screwdriver while Cassie's asleep. If not, sketch it at first, if nothing else.
I'm just still sitting there, just both things up, staring.
The child needs her rest, and this isn't going
Slowly putting
anywhere.
the screwdriver away. Out
Thank you.
comes the book.
Reba,
Thank you,
Book
what do
gets
Ella.
you
put down.
Reba, what do you make of it?
Would check what I even. I have absolutely no idea. What?
Well, let's see what Arcana gets you,
Okay.
because White Boy God is as
Exactly.
esoteric Arcana to you as your stuff is to people who
Right.
follow the White Boy God.
Oh,
Jesus, a 19.
that's why Jillian asks these things.
All right, first of all, if it started as tainted and it couldn't be burned, and apparently the attempt at burning had no effect whatsoever, something must have happened to not just drain away the taint, but you've been to heaven. That is pure, radiant shininess. It's the best as you can put it. This is anti-taint. What she's supposed to do with it, you have no idea, but, something must have happened between the last time she saw the thing and when she pulled it out again. Question to be asked is, did anything else, what else happened? Did anything else change? She remembers the fiddling around with the locket. Was any of that? You're starting to think a little bit like Alloy, and it's scary.
Following the, yeah, because she's following the chain of, and it's like, wait a minute. Okay. Jillian, okay. One, you don't have to worry about it. I've been there. Heaven, I mean. And this is, for lack of a better way to put it, this is pure radiant, I think is the word. It's shiny. It's anti-taint. It's not, yeah, what you're supposed to do with it, no clue. No idea. That's all you. But whatever this is, what, okay, when you said you picked it up when it was black and squidgy, for lack of a better word, and you were also messing with your locket at one point, like, this changed, what else has changed? Like, what happened from between the time you picked it up to the time you saw it like this?
Was in Cassie's room. I mean, I left it in my pocket when we rode out of town. I didn't give it any thought at all for must have been a few hours, and then I woke
I'm
up.
I'm hesitant to ask, but what happened in Cassie's room?
I'm gonna let that happen. I'm gonna give this one to Alloy because Alloy is intelligent and, while not hugely perceptive, she knows a thing or two about the cornerstones and pillars of your life getting knocked out from under you. Alloy's immediate thought, what the fuck are you asking that for? She was obviously crying!
I'm just gonna, as a way to interrupt, tool, doink.
What are you doinking?
I'm like taking a pair of tweezers and just prodding at the thing in front of me. How far back do I get blasted?
You don't, but the various bits of sludge that's covering your clothes from the decomposing thing catch fire with you
Swamp,
still
stop,
wearing
drop,
them.
roll.
Yeah, but
God.
you still take 16 points of radiant damage. So, apparently, in order to interrupt all of that, Aloy did the exact thing you told her not to do and burst into radiant flame. Not her specifically. Reba's got good eyes. She can see that it was the black, sludgy patches on various parts of her clothes.
I just immediately
Yeah.
fall off chair, stop, drop, roll.
Yeah, you put the flames out, but still, that's
Yep.
more. You know the feeling of fire burn. This is not fire burn. This is at once cleaner but soul deep.
Just flat on my back on the floor right now. I need to write this down.
Except you need to explain the thought first so that Jillian doesn't have to.
Wait, sorry. Please clarify.
The reason that you poked the thing was to interrupt the conversation so that you could basically look at Reba and go, what the fuck do you think she was doing in Cassie's room? Or her husband just died. She was crying.
I was mostly trying to use the distraction of me happening to derail that entire train of thought. But...
Yeah, but to be fair, your analytical mind, Reba's trying to figure the thing out, and she still needs to know.
And she's not going to let that go. She may stop and reword, but
Jillian's about to say something.
But
To clarify, life turned upside down. What do you think she was doing? Melting down. A lot harder than a ghost rock reactor ever could.
I'm sorry, Jillian. That wasn't quite what I was referring to. I apologize.
But it might be. You know, while you don't know much about the White Boy God, you do know holy water is a thing. Tears that far down from the heart, from a woman touched by the White Boy God, might have had something to do with it. And that's because Aloy's coming at it from a different direction, is probably following along that same logic, and part of why she took such great lengths to derail the entire conversation. But she's still too busy lying flat on the floor with radiant burns.
Although
I just got my soul vibratoed.
Although, Jillian, if you'll permit me to continue this, holy water is a thing. You are touched by your God. You were very low. Those tears you were shedding were coming from very deep. That may have been a large part of it. I mean, you did say you cleansed Isaac, or redeemed
redeemed him.
You redeemed him.
You figured out that she basically somehow, however, that's a good question. Probably one Aloy wants to know the answer to. Somehow removed that when it was black and squidgy from him.
Yeah, like you redeemed him, cleansed him. You said you'd pulled that from him. Well, you obviously have, or at least had in the moment, the ability to do that, and maybe it carried over to cleansing. And obviously it, not for nothing, packs an oomph. You okay there, Aloy?
It feels like my soul is vibrating.
Okay, I'm not sure what to make of that, but all right.
Make me another Arcana check.
Can I make one to try and process what just
A nat
happened?
20.
You won't have time. If her soul is vibrating, and that came out of somebody, it could go into somebody. Hello, Mr. Preacher Man.
Okay. Jillian, we have a purpose, or it has a purpose. You pulled it out of someone. You cleansed it, it turned into this, whether you turned it into or what have you. It's this now. It can go into someone. What happens if we take anti-taint and put it into a source of taint, or at least something that's extremely tainted? Preacher Man?
I was starting to think less of someone and more the ground, the center of
No.
whatever
You
he's
know
doing.
you know enough about the ghost dance to know that you can't. If it was that comparatively easy to undo what the ghost dance did, it would have been done by now.
No, it's too localized. You'd need, well, one, if that could even be done. You mean, but this is it's more
It
focused than that.
it came out of a person. It was designed for a person.
It came out of someone. It's meant to be in someone. If it's in anything.
I think I understand.
So that is one course. Which next time you talk to or contact or thank them, because considering, not for nothing, considering the way we got our asses handed to us last time, I was not sure just how we were going to approach any of this, because last time, within moments, we were rendered blind, deaf, and dumb.
We're still going to need to get into arm's range again.
And
That we did.
and Reba's going, and Cassie said that she still had something to do, and given that Jillian got within arm's range of Isaac to do this, she probably did something that put her in shooting distance at the very least. And given that Arcana check, wonder if she got her a little bit of her dad's illusion powers. Now you really want to know what happened in that fight. I mean, you saw bite marks. How the fuck did he die?
Jillian, to put not too fine a point on it, we're going to need details before we go in. I need to know what happened, because I am making connections that I really wish I didn't have to be making, but there were bite marks. Cassie, and her, what her dad can do, and now I'm wondering if she can do some of it too. And you got close enough to Isaac in the moment, but I'm willing to bet Cassie had something to do with that, and she's already said she's got something else to do in all of this. And please.
All right, Reba.
You turned into me for a few seconds.
I talk.
Book. I'm scrambling up book, and just notes have started.
We kind of assumed that. Let Jillian talk.
I was talking to Isaac while he was still possessed, and then Cassie came up and made herself look like the son that we should have had. And I didn't know what to make of it, and he didn't know what to make of it. So he started shooting.
Yeah, you know him and these kinds of things well enough to know that it it was enough to reach past the nasty and into this is a trick, and it got it got to him rather than to the possessing element, just because of the sheer reminder.
And I was able to run up to him, and I spoke the word and pulled that from him and opened his eyes.
Sorry, but Reba and Alloy, coming from wisdom and intelligence respectively, know that that couldn't have been the thing that happened straight away, but Jillian doesn't really want to talk about the delay being why Cassie got shot. You're muted, Ethan.
Sorry, Reba's probably wise enough not to. There's probably more there, but have you? Is that everything that has bearing?
I think so. I mean, he was himself after that, but
Well, obviously something happened after because you made it back, but he didn't.
one of those flying things appeared and it took down my horse, and there was a whole pack of walking dead coming down the street.
Oh, Oh, Jillian, I'm so sorry.
He made it clear that he couldn't live with what he'd been made to do.
Oh no, you mean on top of everything else? Oh no, that poor man. On top of everything else, he knew. He was aware. Oh no. Oh. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely going in that preacher man.
Yeah, but and again, Reba is wise enough to know that if it went down even half of what Alloy's splatter, and she knows now Jillian's sort of smoothing over and vaguing up because of the death of Horse and Cassie being in the state she was in. If he hadn't done that, they all would have died.
So you cleansed him, and he chose his path to redemption.
He held them off, and I got out of there with Cassie.
And you wouldn't have if not for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did say he was a hell of a man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, yeah, that preacher man is definitely going to be burning for this. And as we've seen, this very well may do it. We've seen whatever the thing is that's driving him, if there is anything. I mean, distraction is an option. Hell, just running up on him is an option. I mean, we did get close to him before.
Alloy.
We just couldn't really do much.
Alloy, the intelligent. Okay, a lot of those undead are burned now, but there's been a lot of dead people, and you don't know what else he has out here, and you don't know what the inside of the church looks like. And given that that's his primary base now, What else might he have set up? You cannot count on just running up to him and overwhelming him with your numbers of 3+ muffin. If
I'm just going
If
to-
Cassie says it is needed for this, then there's probably a reason. Look at what she said so far.
And so I'm looking down at that, looking up, looking at right about where Cassie's room would be.
Yeah, she's actually in the parlor, but
Yeah, but looking up at where the room would be, looking over. Page, scribble.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not suggesting running up on him is an actual valid thing. I'm just saying there are possibilities. That's probably not one of them. But
I have several thoughts on this, actually.
well, the other. Speaking of,
at which point you kind of have Spot going, I know you think she's silly, but let the lady talk.
sorry, Spot, you're right. Continue, Eloy. My apologies.
So, he kidnapped her in the first place. This is going to sound probably horrifying to the both of you, but given she said she has a purpose. The word here is bait. She could, if she was carrying it, walk pretty much directly up to him.
She's right. You're wise enough. She's right. So it's sort of you want to protest and then realize, fuck.
Actually, it was exactly. I was going.
It's either that, or we somehow fashioned that into a rocket. I don't think either of you want me using this as a projectile, do you?
And Jillian is it's not the word, but that still small spot in her soul is just no.
And Jillian gives Eloy a look.
See?
Hell,
exactly.
And yeah, the ancestors.
No.
Yeah, both of them are just and then just look at Alloy.
See? Exactly my point. You guys really, I did that would not go over well.
Okay,
I did the math. I'm holding up the paper. I just gone 3 pages over just to scribble because it's expanded outwards from the center.
Okay, yes, you're right. We don't know the lay of the land because, well, we don't know what the church is like. We don't know. Okay, well, you mentioned there were undead. Well,
there's also new undead, and he can probably make more.
I mean,
there were those things in the basement.
And depending on how long the town's been around, there's probably lots of material. Yeah. And whatever that thing was that we fought, I don't know if Reba would need to make a check to know whether or not it poofing meant it was still able to show up again later.
Make me an Arcana check.
Okay.
Can I make one as well?
Yes.
21.
Oof.
25.
Yeah,
Nice.
both and it makes sense from the two of you because both of you have been plane shifted. From both your different perspectives, there is a certain. Actually, no. To be fair, Alloy hasn't, but she's been in the vicinity of people who have, and she knows the maths. And there's a certain amount, and for Reba in particular, there's a certain amount of resonance that goes with a crossroads walk. Yeah, that thing is healing up and coming back. He's probably healing up better than you guys are.
So not only do we'd have the preacher man, we'd have that poisonous jagoff to deal with as
Something
well.
he called in for help, which means which means
Mm.
there might be a way to force it back where it came from permanently.
Well, yes, but
Yes,
that's a secondary.
shooting it.
And to be fair,
That-
Jillian's bullets and Cassie's weirdly did do the most damage.
Yeah, there's hurting it, but I mean, I don't mean forcing it by way of killing it. I mean, there's got to be
Yeah, but that's
numerically a way to shunt it back over.
Yes, you
yes, but
kill
that's
it, and it goes back to hell.
We've killed it already. It
No,
hasn't gone
no,
back.
we didn't. It left.
Yeah, to be fair, no, Alloy's perception is shit. She wouldn't have noticed that.
Well, and she was in the no, she wasn't
oh
there
yeah,
when
she
she
fled. Yeah,
Alloy, I'm sorry. It had done whatever it did to your head, and you ran inside. You didn't see it left.
And what about the one that Isaac shot? Is that not the same one?
no, she's talking about the toad
You're
demon.
you're,
You're muted.
we're not
You just
talking
went
about
muted.
the.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about the flappy thing. We're talking about
I
the
thought you
toad.
were talking about the flappy thing because I'm
No, no, no,
I
no,
was
no, no, no,
concerned
no.
about that.
No, no, no,
The
no, no, no.
toad.
It
Yeah,
went
I
away.
have no idea where that went.
Yeah, that left. We didn't kill it. Jillian and Cassie heard it a fair bit, but it left of its own volition.
Yeah, and I was talking, and yeah, I was thinking about the flappy thing being one of the things he called in for help, and that being a lot worse because that we were fighting the one here off. That's less what I was thinking about banishing. I just want to kill that because I think pretty sure that might actually stay dead. The way I understood it from you two is that the flappy thing came back.
No, that was a different one.
It was a second flappy thing because you still have the well, yeah, you actually still have the very decomposed corpse on the lawn.
Yeah, we killed the other one, so that was a new one.
Okay, so they don't just disintegrate and reconstitute. Good to know.
No. I'm more worried about the toad thing because that got away, and so he's probably healing up, and we're probably going to run into him again.
I need a higher caliber weapon.
Can't very well
the
carry
one
around
with a
cannon.
tomahawk and a bow and arrow. I mean,
Yeah, but you have like
And bear.
ancestral magic, and
Well,
you
that's-
have God bullshit. I have me.
Yeah, it's like you have God bullshit. You have bears. Is Alloy's thing. You can just make bears.
Yeah, you're allowed to. You can be a bear. You're allowed to just make bears. I do me. If I want to hurt that thing, I have to either set an explosive trap or like all the boom in the next 6 towns over to make it go away, or I have to make a gun so damn large it's never coming back from anything.
Boo.
yeah.
Yeah, and Muffin, you would be carrying said gun. You would be firing said gun.
Boop 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 boop.
Alloy, you have Muffin, but you also have your unbelievably intense mind.
That's kind of my point. My mind and what I've built so far hasn't done shit. I need to go bigger.
Okay, that was actually a pretty good a pretty good Arcana check. So I'm going to give you this. Okay, you didn't know that the Toad Demon had just left. Now you do know that the Toad Demon just left. And Muffin normally has scan mode on. One thing that you might not be able to transfer yourself across the planes the way Martha was talking about, because that's way too complicated math, and you'd probably turn things into squidge if you tried. But it's hard to do that with certain amounts of math, but it's easier to return things with a certain resonance to their to places that share that resonance.
Yep.
You have to wonder if you could find a setting on the sonic screwdriver, if you did enough math, that would just send it to its wherever it lives, and slam the fucking door. To put it into D&D terms, you might have to ask Jillian about this because this is a god thing, or Reba about this because this is a Crossroads Walker thing, or both because it's all adding to the maths. You know what happens to banishment? You know what happens to things that aren't from this plane when you cast banishment on them? And if they proceed past that minute, if they don't make the saves, they stay in that dimension. So you're wondering if there's maths, but you do need to ask them some very personal questions about their various theological bullshit.
Oh, I have a whole set of questions now. I'm going to start with you, Reba. That whole... Okay. With the crossroads. When something isn't where it's supposed to be, like just even by accident, how do you guide that back to where it's supposed to be?
I mean, some of that depends on what exactly it is. I mean, because if it's too big a thing, then you kind of gotta use the carrot to kind of get it to go, hey, you want to come over here, actually. You don't want to be over there. That's not where you should be. You should be over here. But, if it's not so big, sometimes you can just, for lack of a better way to put it, just kind of shove it across. Though that's still pretty dangerous because as you're doing that, it can still reach out, grab you, take you with it.
But yeah, you have banishing rituals that you can describe.
Yeah, so
but you're wise enough to see where she's going with this.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm kind of keeping it into those terms. There are rituals involved. There are things that you can do to align the. I'm trying to find the terms that you would use. Align the energies involved. Sort
of line up the pathways and the roads, make a map for it.
Yeah, kind of. Basically just sort of show it the direction it should be. Either show it or the world where it should be. And
to be fair, the other, and this is more for Jillian than it is for Reba, but banishing is, I mean, you're right, it's carrot and stick, but what it is predominantly making its immediate area so inimical to its being that all you need to do is give it a little shove to somewhere where it's not so out of phase with where it is that it's uncomfortable and screaming.
Yeah, Jillian, I don't know if you have anything similar to this. It's basically drop something in a pot of boiling water and see how quickly it wants to get the hell out.
Huh. Okay. I understand. Now, Jillian? How do you exorcism?
That...
Wow, there's a question.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Jillian, I mean, in all fairness, Protestants are the ones that actually do the exorcism bullshit, because a Catholic will just read things and, wave cross, and that's it. But Protestants are assholes. Protestants will scare the almighty. No, seriously, I've seen a Protestant exorcism. It's not funny. I was 9.
There are several dozen levels of nope behind them.
Yeah, but they are to varying degrees. I mean, less so now because churches can't get away with it so much, but I mean, we're talking about the weird Wild West where the ends justify the means. A whole thing about that kind of exorcism going back down to basically the start of what was originally a Christian cult rather than a full-on faith, is that it was making the body that the spirit was in so uncomfortable that the spirit would vacate. That's why that's why all the atrocities, committed on people who were thought to be possessed by evil spirits, to hurt the body until the spirit left. This would just be making the immediate area hurt, so the whole thing just leaves. If you're understanding what these two are talking about, right? Because mostly, if you want something gone, you shoot it.
Jillian's thinking of that, and Aloy, you're talking about making maps to places you don't want to make a map to.
I do want to make a map there.
No, you don't!
And to be fair, it's not a map for... Reba can probably explain this better. It's
Yeah.
not a map that... It's not a map that Alloy can read or follow. It's a... It's basically just... It's more a signpost that only that thing can read.
Jillian, she's not talking about making a map proper. This is not something that you could unroll and read yourself. It's more just this way out of the boiling pot of water.
All right.
We're talking about making, metaphorically, assuming Reboot. Well, actually, she probably knows that word because Ella's probably mentioned it a few times
Yeah.
by this point. Metaphorically, I think.
Actually, yes, you do know that one because Martha actually explained that word to you way back when.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that. Out of character. Thank you. Metaphorically, creating the giant pot of hot water and making the signpost to go this way out. So not quite a map. That's not quite the right word. But as I was stumbling to try to put it into terms and reference that Alloy would get, I went that route, but that was not quite accurate. Apologies, Alloy.
No, I get it plenty. I was sort of in the same space. It's just someone here's awful reluctant.
To be fair...
Well-
Because you seem to think I'm going to go tunneling somewhere I'm not supposed to and just taking stuff willy-nilly.
You got Spot
I did that
go...
once.
To be fair, she doesn't make the same mistake twice. from Spot.
You make a good point. For the record, Spot does flag up that Alloy has not, in fact, ever made the same mistake twice. So that's fair.
Yes, that is.
And part of the whole
Write things down
reason,
for that exact purpose.
and part of the whole reason we're here is to remedy that mistake. So,
Look, like, I guess, yes, you could say it's something in a pot of boiling water, except I'm shooting the demon, and the word is burning the demon, and that tends to destroy it and send it back to hell.
At which point you got Spot going, but I watched from Heidi Place. If it takes more than just the one shot to kill it, then it just goes away and heals up before she can make it dead. So it just keeps coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back.
and you're seeing Reva looking at
And
Spotlight.
if you're killing or burning the men in charge, it wouldn't have any reason to come back here. So it's like when I get thrown out of a house and they lock the door. Because they're mean and I don't want to go back in there anyway. And settles back.
To translate, shooting it, if it doesn't die in the first shot, just means it's going to go away, heal up, and come back again and again and again and again. But if we remove the preacher man from the equation, it has no reason to come back. Poor Spot here made reference to when he'd been thrown out a time or two, and they closed and locked the door. Well, he's better off now. Anyway, she. Damn, I keep doing, and I was doing really good too today. That's the first time I screwed it up. Thank you.
Well, actually, that was Spot. It's okay. It's okay. I get misgendered a lot.
I'm sorry, Spot. I try not to. I apologize.
I know Spot's supposed to be a boy's name, but I guess I could have a new name.
You are a very fierce girl.
Purr.
I'm thinking I might just need to borrow a Bible.
You're probably just getting looks.
And spend the next
don't look at
and
me.
spend just tonight doing the math.
I don't know what else to say, Lloyd. I mean, I have
Well,
exercised people before.
Yeah, you can't exorcise a whole ass demon, exactly. But to be fair, Jillian is wise enough to know that at this point, this is kind of Alloy's thing, because if you can't shoot it and you can't wrest the taint from it, then their idea is the best you've got. And if it doesn't leave Alloy with a roadmap to the plane of the Reckoners, having one less thing to keep you from keeping the person your husband died for actually dying, despite all that, it's a risk you're gonna have to take.
Jillian, like I said, Alloy's never made the same mistake twice. She's not going to. This wouldn't leave her. Look, even when I banish something, it doesn't. The whole point of doing it is that it closes the door. There is literally there's no way through. That's the point. You're slamming the door shut. That's the whole point. This is not about leaving things open for Alloy to just waltz right in after. So she's got the right idea here.
Okay.
I'm not the asshole in the church.
Of course, Lloyd. I'm sorry.
And Alloy, for the record,
Cool.
very, very brilliant.
So long as I can get it done tonight, I'm happy.
You got Spot going. She was sad because you have powers and things, and she just has her. She needs to remember that the her is awesome, and not just because of the really smart middle friend.
Alloy, I've been trying to get this through to you for the last while now. You're more than just what you can make. You're more than just Muffin. You're brilliant, and you. Hell, you're brilliant. And you're part of this team. I mean,
I think what you're groping for is that she takes Jillian's perspective and Reba's perspective and all the other perspectives, and she puts them together in ways that you guys can't because of, quite frankly, your own prejudices. Alloy has no prejudices. She has data.
Yeah. Okay. So I think sorry, I'm groping for the words here, but I think what it is you take my side, you take Jillian's side, you take all the bit of input that you possibly can, and there's no
bias. I think it's.
Thank you. That's the word. Yeah, it is. Thank you. There's no bias there. There's no. It's just information for you. And so you just take all of that and you put it together and you come up with something that none of us could because of our own hangups.
Data never lies.
And so that's your strength, and that's why you're part of this team. We wouldn't and couldn't be here without you. So please do not sell yourself short.
Also, she has very good hands, and she keeps the both of you from taking yourselves too seriously.
Yeah, and you keep us from taking ourselves too seriously all the bloody time. So, yes, thank you.
Case in point, I'm going to pull the tweezers out and just gesture in the direction of the glowing heart thing.
So she's
Don't
clear.
you-
She's and
No, Remus,
to be
even think about it.
I'm actually gonna roll up, and that's a nat 20. This alloy really needs to prove a point here, and the tweezers do touch the heart, but because there's nothing tainted on her to burn anymore, it's kind of warm and tingly. But there's a certain amount of maybe don't poke me with tweezers for no reason kind of general feeling. But no burning, no. Although keep in mind that a lot of her shirt is not anymore, and a lot of her, brassiere, etc., is also not anymore. So she's basically been sitting at the table about half naked for this entire conversation.
It's not surprising.
I don't give a shit. Dang it.
Reba doesn't care.
Although it probably is a little cold.
Muffin.
Boop boop. Chunka chunka chunka.
Compartment, please.
Chunk.
Lean. And I'm just gonna shove almost my entire upper body in there to yank out a few things.
Yeah, I mean you have spare shirts. That one is beyond mending, but you're keeping those damn jeans. They actually fit.
Yeah, shirt and just like a shawl or something just to stay warm for now.
Yeah, it's basically brassiere shirt. Probably more of like a what is supposed to be a lap blanket to keep things comfy on Muffin, but just the first drapey kind of thing that came to hand. So
Much better.
shuts the compartment.
Right.
And yeah, the rabbit is probably about done by now.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah. So right. Okay. Well, dinner. Jillian, could you go nudge Cassie a little bit and wake her up? And I'll get the rabbit out. We'll go from there. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the rabbit will gloss over the immediate bits of settling. Cassie is kind of reluctantly waking up, but does manage to kind of, oh, yeah, food would be good. But after everybody needs to sleep. You guys haven't.
We will. You need food as much as you need rest.
I know. And you talked about the things, and now it's about time I put my opinion in, but probably food first, because Pop always says that I get a little bit short when I'm hungry. And somebody with the sight being short with you kind of results in not very nice. So, food things, and it smells really nice.
Your mother left us a pie, which was very nice of her.
She makes real good pie. Then heads into the kitchen and flump into a chair. Everybody looks a bit better.
Yep. I'm sort of using the drapey thing to at least start changing.
I assumed you'd already changed.
Ah, okay. As I had no idea what the bearing on the numbers on that was.
Well, it doesn't really matter. It's just, off with the shredded stuff. I mean, there's a pile of burned, shredded shirt and brassiere on the floor, but,
Yep.
shirt, brassiere, it takes no time at all, and you've got very clever fingers that do buttons up like nothing, so.
Yep.
Rabbit smells very nice. I'm trying for small talk. We haven't had very much of that.
Yeah. Spot caught him for us.
Scritch, 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 scritch. Oh, she's got good hands too.
You've been told you have good hands.
Miss Reba, ma'am. I mean, we didn't we didn't get around to, I mean, Papa, I think, brought Brent home the way you did with Isaac, but he didn't have I mean, he had words said, but there weren't flowers or a headstone or anything. So, not now. I know we've got busy to do now and rest needs to happen, but whatever happens after this is all over, can you. It's the plot on the corner, sort of near where I was standing. The one without a headstone on it.
Moves you right by him.
She doesn't do the false hope of maybe I'll be there anyway, but just
Reba's not saying a thing on that score. She knows.
In the meantime, gonna flip through a few sections of the scribble on the feeling of going toasty, and then the scribbles about touching it afterwards. Well, take a look at and take a look at this. I hope what I've scribbled out makes any sense.
it's probably going to need all three of you. After glancing at the numbers. You for that bit there, I think. I'm going by instinct, not by really understanding the numbers, but you for that bit, that's the resonance bits there. Miss Jillian for the get out feeling that's being amplified by your resonancy thing. And Reba for you want to go that way. Basically making the things that are still connected to where it originally comes from. Make it be its own internal compass. It's gonna need all three of you. You can't do that with the preacher man, even if you wanted to, and I know you don't. I know you want him to burn. Because, his body is still kind of here. Kind of.
Huh. That's a side of equations that hadn't entirely come to mind. So his body is.
But it's changed. It originated.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It originated from here, but it's different now.
But even that difference doesn't mess with the resonance enough to make it foreign enough to shunt somewhere else. So yeah, that makes sense.
It's not even so much that, it's that it made both places home.
Ah.
Yep. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm just theorying here. It's like
you saw the machines.
Yeah, sort of originally human and got possessed, or human and did this to himself voluntarily?
Both. He was
welcomed something into himself, I imagine.
Whew.
Sort of. And looks at Alloy. He was a bit like you. He was curious.
And then he didn't stop and think about
when
does this benefit me or does it benefit everyone?
He saw the kinds of things you saw. He didn't blow them up. He poked them to see how they worked, and something promised him more. Not more things, more knowledge, more experience, more knowing.
That's a hard thing to say no to. Especially if you're already leaning too hard in that direction.
The other ways are harder, but they're more worthwhile because it's you who knows them.
Yep.
So he didn't blow the thing up. He just made more. He made places. Made places at the top of mountains and deep underground. And they make things worse. They make things. Things that aren't just things that the Reckoner's domain spits out, but things that, like him, are from both. Things that we're not prepared for.
Yeah. That's some impressive creative sterility. Couldn't come up with his own shit.
No, he did.
What?
There's an old, well, this sort of newish, I guess, book. Papa was talking about it. This man who made animal people on an island. It's kind of like that, but demon animals, demon people. Like they did with... Looks at Jillian.
It's still him taking things that are already there and just mashing them together instead of making your own.
But they're not enough like either to be anymore. Sometimes it's not about creating something entirely new, because there's nothing new under the sun. It's about innovation.
Yeah.
I mean, Muffin's not really a machine, and he's not really a mule either.
Muffin's Muffin.
But he's still not 100% a novel idea.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Think about it that way.
Don't be judgmental about the fact that he didn't make entirely new inventions. I mean, he took a Gila monster, made its neck longer, made it huger, and gave it wings.
That's a Gila monster?
That's a Gila monster. You should... And he imported stuff, too. You should see what he did with Komodo dragons.
What?
You actually
need
Alloy knows what a Komodo dragon is. And how deadly they are. You two are like...
Oh, that explains a lot. I'm just... Okay. Put this into your head.
Iguana.
Iguana. Take like an iguana. You two have seen iguanas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make one, like trim off all the fronds and weird sticky outy bits. Make it about the size of a covered wagon, lengthwise and widthwise. And then make their mouths so grody.
And their claws. Claws too.
Yeah, make all of their pointy bits so grody that they don't even need to be poisonous to kill you if they bite you. Like, it's so gross. They bite you, you get sick, you just drop.
No, you don't just drop, you weaken, and they follow you for days.
Like, yeah,
and then they eat you while you're still alive.
you get sick. So first you get like, you feel awful. You fall over. They bite you again. You get up. You stumble away. They take it. You drop again. They take another chunk out of you. You just keep getting worse and worse, and they'll just keep following you doing this for days. And then when you finally can't move anymore, while you're still breathing.
And yeah,
he's done stuff with those.
He made them bigger for one thing.
Oh, Lord.
Anyone want some pie?
Well, yeah, guys, you guys are still in the middle of dinner, by the way.
Oh, okay. My bad.
It was a funny segue, but she's looking at her rabbit. It's like, but I'm enjoying this. Pie later. But no,
Yep.
the only reason I bring this up is because when this is over, and this is gonna end, your work's not done. You need to find those places. Or the big, or things like the big disease lizard will just be left out in the wild. These things don't stop working just because he's not there. It's things like the Shadow Man. Looks at Jillian. You remember the Shadow Man? From the Knot Hospital? Lots of different things. Lots of different Knot hospitals. There's a map somewhere you're gonna have to find. And yes, I will be bait. But when I get close to him, I think whether or not I see another day is down to how well you can distract him. As long as you deal with the Toad Man first. You need to think of a way to lure the Toad Man.
Yeah, that's gonna be priority.
But there should be thinking about that while we're eating. I'm sorry, I'm not that much. I think I need more of the food in me before the talking. And also because we're coming onto that time, so you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I just
So yeah, we'll let you guys have some silent contemplation over some of that kind of thing, up to and including trying to keep from thinking about the disease lizard.
Mhm.
And we'll see you next week, when I should be actually potentially adequately rested because we're coming up on the Easter bank holiday weekend, which is Friday off and Monday off. So that's 2 4-day weeks after the bullshit I've had this week. Just, I need it so badly. Anyway, I will see y'all tomorrow for D&D.